Herodotus never held a copy of his own book. No printed pages, no bound spine, no title on the cover. His history existed first as a voice, performed aloud, and then as ink on papyrus scrolls, copied one reading at a time. The journey from spoken word to surviving text shaped everything we read today. Much ancient literature began as performance, not text. The plays of Aeschylus, Sophocles, Euripides, and Aristophanes are scripts, records of what actors spoke on stage. Homer's epics went further. They were oral sagas memorized by bards and recited at feasts for generations before anyone wrote them down. Writing came second, the voice came first. This is the single biggest misconception about ancient books. We imagine authors at desks, but most of this literature was composed for the ear, not the eye. You can hear this orality inside Herodotus' text. He inserts asides mid-story. He looks ahead, promising what he'll say later. He circles back to recall earlier tales. He even tucks in afterthoughts with phrases like, "I forgot to mention." No careful desk writer leaves that in. These are the habits of a man speaking to an audience, his words captured live rather than polished on a page. The original text was likely produced by dictation. Herodotus recited. A scribe recorded his words on papyrus scrolls, sheets made from pressed strips of a Nile River plant, glued into long rolls. Then Herodotus revised, squeezing corrections and additions into the margins. There was no manuscript in his own steady hand, no master file. The closest thing to an original was a working scroll, layered with second thoughts, already one step removed from the voice that composed it. Reproducing the book meant performing it again. A reader stood in a room full of scribes, each seated with a blank scroll, and read the entire work aloud, slowly. Every scribe wrote down what he heard. One reading produced a batch of copies, ready for distribution and sale. This was the ancient publishing house. No press, no type, just one voice and a dozen pens racing to keep up. Every copy of Herodotus in the ancient world descended from sessions like this. Copying by ear had a cost. A scribe mishears one word, now his scroll reads differently from his neighbors. Scholars call these variant readings, and they multiply with every generation of copies. Worse, a scribe's attention drifts and an entire sentence vanishes. That gap is a lacuna, a hole in the text that no later copyist can repair because he never knew it was there. The texts we read today still carry these scars from rooms of tired men writing fast. Greek writing made the scribe's job harder. Texts ran without spaces between words and without accent marks, an unbroken river of letters the reader had to pass on the fly. Where one word ends and the next begins was a judgment call. And Herodotus loved foreign names, Persian kings, Egyptian gods, Scythian tribes. Imagine transcribing an unfamiliar barbarian name by ear with no way to check the spelling. Those exotic words must have puzzled scribes most of all. How big was a book? You measured it in scrolls, and Herodotus' history was vast. It filled 9 papyrus scrolls. That number proved irresistible. Greek tradition counted exactly 9 Muses, the goddesses of inspiration, so later editors named each scroll after one of them. The first scroll took the name of Clio, fittingly the muse of history herself. Herodotus never chose these titles. They were a librarian's flourish centuries after his death, but they stuck, and we still cite his books by the muses' names today. Trace the whole chain. A voice performs, a scribe records on papyrus, the author corrects in the margins, a reader dictates to a room of copyists, their scrolls scatter across the Greek world, carrying variants and lacunae with them. 9 rolls crowned with the names of 9 goddesses. Every ancient text you've ever read survived this gauntlet, passed from mouth to ear to hand, copy after copy, for over 2,000 years. When you open Herodotus today, you're not reading a book he wrote. You're hearing the echo of a performance preserved by generations of imperfect, indispensable human hands.